Hi there, this is Anthony from Maestro Music Centers in Levittown, Long Island. And today I'm on a Lowrey EZ4. This is the second model in Lowrey's lineup of small instruments. It is a 61-note lower keyboard. When you power it up, it's a piano. And it's got initial touch sensitivity. So you can play it as a piano. Then I have an orchestra on top. So if I want to use those sounds, I can. But the primary way people play these, and if you want to play it as a piano style, I just want to tell you that there is a kick switch on the left side of the expression pedal that will allow a little sustain. So it can linger while I look up. The way that these new instruments are designed, and it's different than they've been for the last 30-something years, is we used to always just go into the rhythm and we would find a style that was a perfect match for the song that we wanted in the category we were looking in. It's not quite like that anymore. I have 8 categories of styles: standards, country, smooth, rock, traditional, gospel, Latin, and 3/4. When I look in front of me on the instrument, there is a button that is yellow called Style Setup. Any button on a Lowrey that is yellow is in sort of a standby mode. It's alerting you that it's not really necessarily that it's on, but it's active, okay? Once I select one of those categories, that button would become red to let me know, hey, now I'm picking the sounds. And that's, people pay for that button. Those setups are providing you with the appropriate sound and the balance and the speed and stuff to play a song in that genre that you've selected. The biggest difference about these instruments is this new performer mode. And what that does, there's 3 modes you can set the instrument in. Yes, full band, which is like any arranger keyboard or the way the organs used to work. It'll give you a whole band with drums and guitars and bass and all of that. Then there's pianist. So if you want to be a piano player, you get a piano bass pattern. And then there's guitarist. If you want to be a guitar player, literally playing guitar, it'll give you a guitar pattern. So let me put it on pianist first, and I'm going to pick traditional, okay? And here's a sound. Okay, now, that pattern that's playing is doing a sort of a Aliberti-ish type pattern, okay? But you'll notice there's a piano bass, but not a real acoustic bass. There's no drum, and I'm going to have a piano. If I wanted drums, I would just raise the drum volume up. So I can have with drums or without. Next to the piano is the guitarist pattern. It's still on traditional. That was a very traditional piano, right? Actually, let me go along to the other direction. Let me pick full band. So the most traditional kind of full band you can think of is a marching band. Been around for a long time, marching bands of all different genres. We're going to get sort of like a German marching band, okay? I don't know how to describe it. My marching band. So that had drums, that had acoustic bass, actually had a tuba in it. But let's go now to guitarist. I'm going to get a jazz guitar. Here's my rhythm style. Doesn't matter whether you're playing one finger or I'm playing 3, it doesn't matter, I could do 1 as well. Actually I have to think a little more in one finger mode. Again, no drum. drums. play on the split. A song and you want to improvise but you don't know how? That's what Fake It does. I just keep playing. I can play one note. It looks better if you play a bunch. Doesn't matter if I'm on the bottom. As long as my chord progressions are timed right, okay? So you can use Fake It, which is a great feature. Now it's not really an organ, there's no pedals, so I mean normally I could do stuff with the pedals, but it's for people if you really don't have any clue what to do, don't have any knowledge of, you know, what kind of notes are required in three-finger chords, or aren't really good in scales, because really that's scale-based. It's a great feature to let you improvise a little, and if you move your fingers around, it feels pretty good. You still have to play the chords, and you still have to have a great sense of timing, so you can play along with the song and make it feel like it's moving with you. All right? But so there I've got, on every rhythm style, I've got one setup. Now as the instruments get larger, you go to an EZ10 or an EY300, which is behind me, they will add additional style setups. There's 5 additional style setups on an EZ10, which means I've got 10 new sounds to play with. I've got 8 additional style setups on this model, so there's 16 new sounds to play with. I also get more sound and more rhythm categories to play with. As a matter of fact, on the fanfare I have a second group of these, of traditional, and the second group of standards, etc. So it's a really a different way of thinking about using the instrument. Now if you want to set up your own sound, you just happen to, you love the guitar pattern, but you want to play, I don't know, I always joke that people want to play a kazoo, but let's see what I've got here. I don't quite have a kazoo, but I have a mandolin. So I can put that same rhythm on. Maybe you like organ sound. We can pick an organ. You want harmony? That's AOC, traditional Lowrey harmony. I even have the vibratrem spinning. A really good sound out of this. I have a bunch of organ sounds. I have string organ sounds. I even have pipe organ in here, you know. And solo strings. These are Lowrey symphonic strings that they used to have years ago. They're not meant to be orchestral. There was an orchestral string button. These are organ string, okay? And then I have a category of pianos, a grand, a honky-tonk, and an electric detuned, and a classic. That's like a Fender Rhodes piano. The first one was more like a Yamaha DX. And then Society is a double octave. Whatever note I'm touching, it's playing the same note 1 octave higher, 1 octave lower, you know? And a harpsichord. Alright? So I have a bunch of pianos, a bunch of guitars, a bunch of strings, both ensemble sounds and then independent sounds like viola and cello. magnificent sounding cello for such a small instrument at this price point to get that kind of sound is just crazy. Okay, then I have woodwinds like clarinet and jazz flute, oboe, alto sax, baritone, breathy tenor. Okay? And then there's a button that says more, where all the other sounds are that are available. And every model will have a button that says more. It just means, you know, instead of putting a lot of buttons on, I would scroll through. That's where I got the mandolin. Here's a marimba. There's additional organ sounds, things like the percussion, because the jazz organ would be under the organ button, but maybe the percussion's not. A tibia, rock, 60s. Okay, pan flute, one of the oldest instruments on the planet. The toy piano from the kind you'd find if you went to Toys R Us. Saxophone section. Scatting. I remember when that sound came out about 10 years ago, you only could get it on a top-of-the-line instrument. From 10 years ago, top of the line, today, every model has it. So that's one of those technological advancements. Steel drums. Really high-quality sampling. That's a Tommy Dorsey-type trombone. Trumpets. It can whistle. When I was a kid, whistles only came top-of-the-line instruments. Xylophones, synthesizers, accordion, even does animal sounds. The kids love this. Or the cat. Bagpipes, banjos, church bells. Okay, brass sections, choir. French horns. All kinds of guitars. Again, they're touch sensitive, so there's a lot of stuff happens. Harmonicas. Harps. So, from a sound standpoint, there's a lot of information available, and I can combine two sounds together. I could put a piano with strings or a piano with a choir or one of these other sounds with it, and I can actually turn the sounds off, have just an organ sound, let's say, playing on the top right now, and then turn the other second sound on and have it add in. I have an on-off switch for that specifically, and I have sound for the bottom. I could combine two orchestral voices plus the organ on my keyboard and obviously split the sound to the split. The orchestral voices on this model can go to the split. On the larger models, the organ voices can go to the split. You can put almost anything down there. So I can have organ on top if I want, and I can instead put the orchestral sound to my split. Okay? And move it around. By turning the orchestral off, I've shut it off on the upper keyboard. See? Really nice. The last thing that's really neat that people like the most of all our instruments is song setup. In song setup, if you go to play a song, you would go through the list of songs that are available, and you would find a song to play. And if the song you want to play is not in here, this song I'm looking at in front of me is not in here, so I'm going to pick another song that I think maybe would be similar to that. So I'm going to scroll a little bit through it. I'm looking at the names. Maybe this, okay? And I play. Now I picked a song. The song was 5'2". It's not what I'm going to play, but that's what I picked. And the instrument's ready to go, but none of the rhythms lit up, which means that it's selecting another rhythm style that is only accessible this way by using song setup. There's more rhythms hiding inside this instrument. And I got a ragtime. there's a bunch of them in there. So if you have one of these and you start using song setups, you're going to find an awful lot hiding in the song setup button. Also, our EY300 fanfare has close to 70 rhythm styles in that song setup that are in addition to the ones that are actually accessible through the buttons. So it's a neat little like Easter egg in your instrument of stuff you can find as you're playing. But that's another great feature. And if I now want whatever the setup was for that rhythm, I can press the style setup button. That's a different sound. See? Turn it off, I go back to what the song setup was. Turn it on, I have style. So I've got actually two different sounds available. So if you're using any song setups and you want to see is the style setup a little bit different, turn it on and try. Play the keyboards and see what you get. You may in fact have two sets of sounds available. It's a really fantastic instrument. It has some really neat features, like I can move the split point on my bottom. I can turn that touch sensitivity on and off. I can make just the drums play if I want. I can key my bass lines if I want to do a keyed bass pattern, change the octave of my orchestral voices, change the level of the orchestral voices in relation to the organ sound, transpose, and move my, like I said, my split point again. So that's it. Lowrey EZ2. If you're interested, give us a call here at Maestro Music Centers. Thanks. Have a great day.